Going through that with me. My name is Rebecca Glum. I'm here for Tuesday Open Mic and Museday, where I do 3 performances, and then I'll do a little rambling of my own. Usually, now we'll be back on track where I'm flying by the seat of my pants. First selection tonight is a filk I did of Willie McBride, also known as The Green Fields of France. Or rather, there are many versions out there. One is Green Fields of France. And overall, it's about the horrors of war, but the modern one is about World War I, and the one that I filked it for was about the Battle of Towton in the War of the Roses back in 1460-something. Actually, I think just 1460. In any case, it's supposed to be a period version that I can perform at reenacting/LARP events, and this one is a very good representation of why I only like to pretend to fight. This is called Towton's Creek. Not gonna cut off my head there. How do you do, young William Blythe? Do you mind if I sit here upon your hillside and rest for a while neath the warm summer sun? I've been walking all day and I'm nearly done. I hear from the stories you were but a lad. 16 short summers were all that you had. Well, I hope your last breath was soft, sweet, and clean. Oh, William Blythe, was it slow and obscene? Did they beat the drum slowly? Did they play the fife lowly? Was your family there when they lowered you down? Did a priest say the Lord's Prayer above you? Did your village cry for their love of you? Change to a different key. Well, now I can't help but... No. You can tell it's been a while since I've done this. Did you leave there a wife or a sweetheart behind? In that faithful heart is your memory enshrined. And though you died back near 10 years before, was the thought of your smile still make her want more? Or are you a stranger without even a name? Lost and forgotten with just time to blame. Carved into letters at the base of this cross, a date worn and weathered and covered in moss. Did they beat the drum slowly? Did they play the fife lowly? Did your family know that they lowered you down? Did a priest say the Lord's Prayer above you? Did your village cry for their love of you? The sun, how it shines on this field and my skin. The small bluebells dance in a warm summer wind. No blood in the meadow, the cow creek flows clean. No arrows, no swords, no dying screams. And the sons and the fathers that lay by your side, the silent stone cross will never show pride. 'Twas our blind indifference to our fellow man let a whole generation be butchered and damned. Did they beat the drum slowly? Did they play the fife lowly? Did your family know that they lowered you down? Did a priest say the Lord's Prayer above you? Did your village cry for their love of you? Now I can't help but wonder, poor William Blythe. Did those who lie here know why they died? Did they really believe that the fighting would cease? Did they really believe when their Duke promised peace? For the sorrow, the suffering, the glory, the shame, the killing and dying was all done in vain. For William Blythe it all happened again, and again, and again, and again, and again. Did they beat the drum slowly? Did they play the fife lowly? Did your family know that they lowered you down? Did a priest say the Lord's Prayer above you? Did your village cry for their love of you? Will they beat the drum slowly? Will they play the fife lowly? Will I be the last soldier they put in the ground? Tell me, why did we ever decide that we win when enough of the others have died? Oh, how do you do, young William Blythe? Do you mind if they lay me at your side? That would be the song that kind of started this all. For at least the SCA part of it, I got that finally reworked to be period and sung it at our 12th night celebration 2 years ago, and happened to earn Sylvan Bard for all of that. So still holds a great place in my heart. And that last line about why more people dead means we win still sticks with me no matter what I do. So there's the low note to start on, and can only go up from here, right? So this next one is also going to be a challenge. It's called The Old Duke by a wonderful artist called Heather Dale. She's big in the SCA community, but I think she does have a following outside, just in kind of like the folksy reenacting era. And in honor of one of my new favorite artists, Raineri, sorry, it's going to be #big, which means but it's gay. So there are a couple of alterations to make it not the usual that Heather Dale sings, and I'm pretty sure you can pick up on them. But also to make it a little bit more fair to both, well, all people who fight in different reenactments. It doesn't matter what pronouns you use. And I hope that it might seem a little bit clunky at times, but I really wanted to get that across. So here's The Old Duke. I laugh at those who call... Nope. Who started in this key? I laugh at those who called me old, who think my age their best defense. For often fall the young and bold, who fail to laud experience. My sword and I are much the same, our actions swift and sure. Each scar I wear, each graying hair, the life I gave to her. Each scar I wear, each graying hair, the life I gave to her. Throughout my life I've led warriors where the crown commands, and always does my lady tend to children, hearth, and land. My wife and I are much the same, our actions swift and sure. Companions fair, a home to share, the life I gave to her. Companions fair, a home to share, the life I gave to her. To those who thought my lack of sons would end a warrior's line, I laugh and toast my daughter, who upon her throne does shine. My child and I are much the same, our actions swift and sure. A privilege rare, a crown to bear, the life I gave to her. A privilege rare, a crown to share, the life I gave to her. So every passing year preserves familiar rhythms and the new. And through it all I lead and serve with joy as I was born to do. My land and I are much the same, our spirits swift and sure. Each oath I swear, each shouldered care, the life I gave to her. Each oath I swear, each shouldered care, the life I gave to her. Short and sweet. Call it a challenge because the match, the way that I do it without any backup aside from, well, sometimes Byron, is hard to keep that pitch between the first and the third lines in all the verses. And I've been struggling with that all day, really, without the music, and it's pretty tough to tackle just because, rather, it's pretty hard to tack down. Because I also don't sing it in the same key, and I don't sing it in a corresponding octave. It's just slightly off because I can't sing it in the low or the high like she does. But I still love to put those to words. Put those words to song, whatever. One of these days I'll learn to talk. And this last one is going to roll right into my musing. It's called What Price Honor. Sorry, I saved it with a different title on top, but it is the same song. And we'll see how it does with Baron. This is by an artist, Morgana Wolfsinger. I believe she's out of Atlantia, which is your southeastern part of the US. And I just bought her CD called Heart Rose. I will make sure to link both her and Heather Dale's stuff in the description afterwards so you guys can check it out when you get a chance. Love what my hair is doing today. Okay, this should be pretty explanatory, so I'll just delve right into it. What is honor that some men hold? What is honor that some still hold dear? That others belittle and yet others sneer? What is honor to hold such regard, and yet be a thing some are quick to discard? It's a thing for which battles have often been fought, and some thought to lack it are counted for naught. For it's the best way to judge someone's worth that's ever been found on the face of this earth. What price honor, for what is it sold? For love, fear, and envy, for power and gold. How measure the worth of the honor that's kept in blood that is spilled and the tears that are wept? What is honor, of what is it made? What is its nature and how best displayed? What is honor, this thing you can't feel, and yet weigh for your soul and your heart? And if you would keep it, then none can you part. And like a good sword, it's best tested in fire, be it flame of the hearthstone or flame of desire. What price honor, for what is it sold? For love, fear, or envy, for power and gold. I'll measure the worth of the honor that's kept, the blood that is spilled and the tears that are wept. What is honor and where is it found? Does it ride out with banners or lie on the ground? What is honor, and if it is lost, if you would regain it, then what is the cost? It's a thing to be found in both beggar and knight, for everyone has it at birth as a right. But if sold or lost, try so long as you live. To regain it may cost more than you have to give. What price honor? From what is it? For what is it sold? For love, fear, and envy, for power and gold. I'll measure the worth of the honor that's kept in the blood that is spilled and the tears that are wept. What price on her? Turned out good too. Hooray. So the topic that I'm going to get into is a little bit touchy recently. You're in the LARPing community. Well, I'll bleed into that a little bit. So honor. It's essentially, it's almost, I almost equate it with integrity, to stand behind the promises that you make, and even when people aren't watching. And that's always been a big part of my life. And my friends can tell you I've struggled with it even in the smallest of situations. And I guess some would say that that it also applies to just like the basics of following laws. And I mean, if you're a citizen of this country, you're supposed to follow the laws. And some say that, well, if you don't get caught, it's not that bad, or what you don't know can't hurt you. But at that point, that makes sense. At that point, it does turn into integrity. Wow, that went nowhere. There is a big thing in the LARP communities about honor that we like to accentuate a lot, and it usually the best names that everybody knows. That is their main attribute for what they are known. Like if anybody is sure, you can do a lot of service, and you can fight really well, but if you don't stand behind your word, then, like the song says, that's where your worth comes from. Which I really don't have an issue with that. There's been a lot of back and forth that I've seen about like how do you value somebody's life, which I've never liked the idea of putting a price on someone's head. So just to even say the word value is hard. But worth also has a quality to it that is not just thinking somebody's life is worth money, and that is equated with money, I should say. So in the LARP communities, this is a big thing because it shows you're an upstanding citizen, that you can be trusted to do the right thing, whether it's for your unit, for the game, for someone you pass on the street. Your reputation means a lot. So that is in and out of game is one thing that's always one thing that I've held dear. Because when I'm in LARP, I don't try to be my character very much, aside from, an accent and ears and wearing different garb. I try to be who I am, just because that makes it a lot easier to play the character. And the touchy part that I wanted to get into was we recently had some drama in one of my LARPs, Dagger here, that has caused a lot of people to leave. And by leave, I mean, if you're not familiar with LARP, we're a national organization that you have to fill out some paperwork, get it notarized by an actual notary, and sent in to the national organization to become a chapter. And benefit from all of its resources. Excuse me. And then you can also send representatives to the War Council at our largest event, Ragnarok, and vote on the Manual of Arms and how we change it. Wow. Oh, sorry. And then you guys want to hear me burp on camera. And the biggest drama has brought up some of these stayed in the game for a very long time and haven't been corrected, unfortunately. To the point where essentially the largest chapter has a board of directors, because it is so large, and I believe it was the founding chapter. Yeah, sorry, it is the founding chapter of our game. The board of directors for their chapter is the same as the board of for the entire game. So the people who get elected there represent our fighters out in Washington, up in Maine, in the middle of Missouri and Kansas. And there's been a large gripe about that because, as we know in our government, that doesn't sit well with the people who want to be represented, who want their voice heard. And out of everything that's happened, I think that is probably the core issue that everybody wants changed. And I agree with them. Because if it is by your honor that you want this game to thrive, that you want everybody's input genuinely, you're not going to hold that for yourself. You're going to want to open it up for other voices, and it is beautiful what we can create together. Line, I believe, I want to say his name is Aiden from out in South Carolina, that I heard it, that they quoted for him in one of our documentaries was, I had this vision for my unit when I started out, and as we went along, it became more of a mixture of everybody's visions together, and that's what we're all supposed to be about. It's not just one person game, and if it is, it's going to turn into the old guard type thing, and no one's going to want to play anymore. So the push right now that I would love is to separate the Dagger Here board of directors and the Aratari board of directors. And it's not to the point of, me personally, it's not to the point of antagonism. It's to the point of sense. That if you care for this game and you're hearing what the majority is telling you, we should be an equal society. We should have representation from all people. And we can't do that if we're only electing one set of people to the board of directors every year, or every 2 years, however long that term is. So the honor comes in staying true to the honor of Dagger Here and what we want to do together as a game, and not just a couple of people. So it didn't really end on a high note, and who knows what sort of flack I'll get for it. But I'd like to express myself in the most neutral way possible that will help our game go forward and repair itself and maybe make some progress. So keep an eye on my page. The Bardic War for SCA is coming up. It starts this Saturday. I should know this by now. It starts this Saturday, the 15th, with some opening ceremonies, and it promises to be an awesome time. We have a ton of classes scheduled, events in the evening, Bardic circles galore, like going until 1 a.m. Eastern, because we've got a bunch of people from all different time zones to include. So I'm really excited. I'm probably going to be running on caffeine and not getting a lot of sleep for the next week. What's different from that, Becca? I can't tell you. Yeah, that's pretty much like every week. Maybe I'll get less sleep. I don't know, and more caffeine. But I will try to get a link in there. I'm competing in one event on Saturday the 22nd at 7 p.m. Eastern. I'm holding a class that morning called The Stigma of LARP to help bring attention to and disseminate bias in the SCA. And then I'm also actually going to be doing a challenge Sunday morning called The Fight or Fit of Love with Aadine's Lament and lots of other stuff. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I hope to see you at some point during the war. Have a good night.